So my people, I hope you guys remember Sunday Jackson from Adamawa, who Nigeria's Supreme Court sentenced to death because he defended himself against Fulani Herdsman attack. Sunday Jackson, in act of self-defense, spied Fulani Herdsman who wanted to buy him in his own farm, my people. So because of that, Nigeria's Supreme Court now sentenced him to death. But thank God that Dr. William, US-based human rights advocate, came to Nigeria and create awareness of what is happening to Mr. Jackson. So Nigerians have been talking about it, and even some are saying that they need to go out there to protest about this injustice against this young man. So today, Mr. Jackson asked Tinubu as well as Adamawa governor to grant him clemency after being sentenced to death for defending himself against herdsman attack. This is a very sad and heartbreaking story, honestly. Even some people still do not believe that this can happen in Nigeria. Like, things that are happening in Nigeria is unbelievable. Even to defend yourself now, judge need to sentence you to death. What a country. Let me allow you guys to listen to this insightful video from Dr. Charles Apoki, like what he said concerning Mr. Jackson as well as Fulani Herdsmen in Nigeria, and what is really self-defense when it comes to Nigeria constitution. And this is the reason why a lot of people are calling for constitutional reform, because in Nigeria constitution, there are a lot of things that are wrong, that we need to amend. If not, what is happening now is going to get worse. Take a look and hear everything Dr. Charles Apoki said in this particular video. Please don't forget to subscribe if today is your first time here. Share the video and give it a like. Thank you so much for watching.
I am your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. Sometimes I feel very tired defending my patriotism or desire for our continuous existence as a country, as one unified country. The only consolation I have is that injustice is not limited to a tribe, limited to a region. Poverty and hardship and wickedness and criminality is not limited to a tribe or to an ethnic nationality or to a region. But we are having problems with Fulanis in this country, Fulani Herdsmen in this country. Go and read Lord Lugard's book that he wrote in 1922, titled The Dual Mandate. The Dual Mandate. He said in that book that if not for the amalgamation, remember amalgamation was 1914, and then he wrote this dual mandate in 1922, that if not for the amalgamation of Nigeria, that Fulani herdsmen will not have been bringing their cows to eastern Nigeria. The book is there, Dual Mandate, because the Easterners had their native cows, dwarf cows that they used for ceremonies. And for those of us in the Midwestern part of the country, when cows started coming predominantly in the early 60s, our parents refused to eat cow meat. They said it was old people from the north that they used a stick to touch that turned to cows. And so cow meat was not prevalent in this part of the country, the Midwest where I come from. It was fish, pork, and goats, sheep, and the dwarf cow that we used for important ceremonies. It was during the Civil War, cows were used to feed soldiers, subsequently used to detonate Ogbunigwe. that made cows to be prevalent in this part of the country. And today we have a crisis in our hands. If it is only that, I will not be troubled. But when a judicial pronouncement and sentence gives Fulani herdsmen a license to destroy people's crops without your retaliation, we are in deep trouble. I was listening to Dr. William Delvin, an American human rights activist, speaking to Dr. Charles Aniago of Arise TV over the sentence of Sunday Jackson to death by hanging. The Supreme Court confirmed the judgment of a lower court. And I was doing a little research. It was found that in 2017, 100 people were killed by herdsmen in their farms in the same area where Sunday Jackson comes from, and nobody was arrested, nothing happened. And now I was discussing with my lawyer about the case, and he told me that the Supreme Court is not a Father Christmas, that the evidence you did not present, the details you do not present, it cannot presume to have been there and emotionally award you victory or conviction. And so, because this man was in detention for many years before he was brought to court, right from the time of collecting evidence, investigation, a lot could have taken place that would make his case weakened. Now, let me use this to talk to those of you who defend the fathers of the faith, who say you are defending Christianity. Shut up your dirty mouth. From very early, Sunday Jackson, being a Christian, there should have been very strong Christian representation and follow-up of that case right from the police station. But many of you who are Christians in the north, sometimes you are very naive and you just have this subservient mentality. I'm not sure a senior advocate or a prominent team of lawyers handled Sunday Jackson's case. Everybody seems to have surrendered, and you have remained subservient, apart from a few houses and different tribal groups that are speaking. Until recently, there's somebody like T.Y. Danjuma started speaking. People like Jerry Ghana were just making noise all over the place. Yakubu Gawan has not been very effective in knowing that no matter who he is not regarded by some people in this country to be their equals. Now, I asked my lawyer, what is self-defense? What is provocation? And he talked about the heat of passion or the heat of the moment in defense. If you see somebody trying to machete your baby, and in that heat of the moment, you pushed him away, and he fell and used his head to hit something, and he died subsequently, you can't be guilty of murder. You did not premeditate it. Nobody will allow that. I will come to that. Or you take the machete from him and he rushes towards you. You strike him with the machete and he dies subsequently. You did not premeditate it. So, what is the heat of the moment in defense and the heat of passion in defense? Key principle number one, the defendant must be provoked. Must be provoked. I am a farmer. Imagine the time it will take you to clear the bush, make ridges, buy seeds, plant under the hot sun, water them, then they grow, and you are waiting for your crops to harvest to pay your children's school fees. I saw videos of herdsmen, they will take their cows inside, they will be slashing the maize. The cows will be eating them. You know, what kind of provocation will be worse than that? Or millet or whatever, cassava, yams, they will eat them with impunity. Sometimes in the south, when you confront them, they will tell them that they own the whole of Nigeria and that you are tenants. And somebody telling you that might just be a Fulani from Futajalon that is not an indigenous native of Nigeria. So, what provocation do you need more than that? Your crops is like when I watch the control of hogs in the United States of America, you will see hogs eat up crops that American farmers have planted. And when people start shooting them down, animal rights activists will say, why are you shooting them? Do you have common sense? Have you ever farmed? That hogs will come and uproot your potatoes, uproot your peanuts, uproot your soya beans. So why are they killing them? So provocation. The next thing is that the provocation must be something that will anger any reasonable person. Yes. No reasonable person will allow his crops to be destroyed and not be angry. No. No. Particularly a poor man whose last hope is that farm. Government didn't give him inputs. In his own community, in his own land, a stranger from somewhere. No. Says that the killing must have happened in the heat of the moment without a time to cool down. Did Sunday Jackson have a time to cool down? He saw his crops being destroyed. He confronted the herdsman and he attacked him with his sharp instrument. Sunday Jackson took sharp instrument from the man and attacked him, and the man died subsequently. There was no time to the heat of the moment. That was the heat of the moment, the heat of passion. He didn't have time to cool down. He did not get home, then planned, ate, dressed, armed himself to go and look for that man. No, he used the man's own weapon. The heat of the moment defense says that the defendant must have acted under the influence of the strong emotions. Yes, strong emotions. And the time between the provocation and the crime must be short. It was there and then. Some people said that he should have run away. Run? You want him to pursue him with the machete? When people like El Rufai have said that any injury to any Fulani man is a debt you owe, we know them. They will come in droves to attack that community and destroy that community. The question is, who will not be angry when you see your crops being destroyed intentionally by a man and his cows? Who will not be angry? Who will not be angry when attacked by someone destroying his crops? He was expected to run with an injury. Did he premeditate it? No. How many of those justices of the Supreme Court are farmers? How many herdsmen or even kidnappers, Fulani kidnappers, have been sentenced in Nigeria? How many? In Enugu State, in Ehamefu, how many? In Ehamefu, they put our women down, defile them, and put sticks in their genitalia. Nobody has been arrested. Nothing has happened. We have become slaves in our own country, in the north, in the south, in the east, and the west, even in Abuja. What are the consequences of this judgment? Number one, impunity has been granted to these Fulani herdsmen to chase people out of their farmlands and their ancestral homes, like as they did in some parts of Plateau State. They changed the names of the communities. Insecurity will get worse all over Nigeria. All over Nigeria. Because if they come to attack a community and then you overpower them, they shoot and you shoot and some of them die, you will be charged for murder. But the invader, what will you charge him for? Insecurity will get all over Nigeria, will go all over Nigeria. Between two communities here in Ughelli North, somebody was going back home. Fulani men, he heard them speak, kidnapped him, a woman, and they had to go and pay ransom. A young boy that was passing from one of the communities, they caught him and beat hell out of him. He urinated on his body. The vigilante went into the bush to look for them. If they had been arrested and one of them in the process of confrontation lost his life, they will charge people for murder. There will be food scarcity and food will become more expensive. It will be a guarantee for the tyranny of a minority. The herdsmen are a small percentage of the Fulanis. The Fulanis are about 10% of the Nigerian population of 250 million. A lot of the ones terrorizing now, right from the time of El Rufai and several other northern Fulanis, they said that they were strangers. They were not Nigerians. Yes. We've been living with Fulanis in Nigeria here and we've not had problems like this. And so a minority is going to rule over the majority. Why? 5 to 6% of the GDP of Nigeria comes from animal husbandry. I quoted the statistics that 6,000 cows, and I was quoting the Commissioner for Trade in Lagos or Commissioner for Agriculture in Lagos. 6,000 cows are slaughtered in Lagos State in a day. By the time we calculated it, it was close to 1 trillion monthly. And the lady said that there was a 3 trillion cattle business in Lagos State. Lagos State, we've not talked of Ibadan, we've not talked of Bomosho, Benin, Warri, Sapele, and all the towns around Nigeria. It's a multi-trillion business. And so these people have money to determine who gets justice. They have money to determine who wins election. They determine who gets into office. They determine who is in a position in the security agencies. And all over this country, they occupy positions of prominence. And the stupidity that worries some of us Southerners, every person you say is a Hausa man. Hausas are different from Fulanis. They are suffering the same discrimination and oppression like every other Nigerian. The church must arise and protest over the sentence on Jackson, Sunday Jackson. And the youths who protested for justice for Mohbad should also protest for justice for Sunday Jackson. Peaceful protest, advocacy, not violence. And let me tell you one thing, those of you from the Middle Belt, those of you from minority tribes in the north, those of you from majority tribes like the Hausas that have always been docile when there is an agitation for good governance. You are feeling the heat. You are feeling the heat. It's affecting all of us. And let me talk to those justices. One day, monkey go market. One day it will get to you. Olufalaye became a farmer after being secretary to the federal government. They burnt his farm at the peak of harvest. A retired general, director general of NYSC, was kidnapped in Katsina State. It will get to you people too when you leave office. I want to appeal to the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that should exercise the prerogative of mercy and give Mr. Sunday Jackson a presidential pardon, because the whole world is already documenting that the average Nigerian Christian suffers persecution in this country more than most countries in the world. And I stand by Sunday Jackson to say that that sentence by the Supreme Court is unfair. Even Dr. William Delvin confirms that it is unfair. There are judgments we've had of recent by the Supreme Court that makes Dele Farotimi a hero and a prophet. It's painful. Very, very painful. Living in this country as a Christian is fast becoming a risk, a big risk. I have a webinar coming up on the 14th and 15th of this month. Send a message to +234 80 21 21 92 62. It will send you the details of the webinar. It's painful. 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 Discussed with somebody a few days back who wanted to invest with me, and the family said that they don't hope to ever come back to Nigeria. It's painful. This beautiful country is painful. Somebody, I finished speaking to accountancy graduates from, I think, River State University or so. And somebody said that I keep saying that I will not leave this country. And yes, I will stay here. That why are my children overseas? You want my children to go through this pain, this stress, and this injustice that we are seeing? No, they can't bear it. Can't bear it. Can't bear it.
Welcome to Mercy News TV.